All right, according to Phil, we are live. I'm just letting it set up to make sure that. All right, awesome. Do you guys see some distortion, by the way? Or can you guys hear? Okay, the sound sounds far away. All right, 1 second. Going to boost the microphone a little bit. Can you guys still hear me? Or can you hear me better now? All right, I might have boosted the volume a little bit too high, so let me know if you guys hear any bad sound quality in the background. All right, so we're just going to jump right on into this now. I'm muting the stream that I'm watching from my tablet to make sure that there's no interference with the microphone. Again, if you guys have any problems with the audio or the visual, please let us know. Phil will send me a quick message and we'd fix it as soon as possible. Today's live stream is going to be a little bit faster than the one last time. Probably only about 20 minutes to go into this, but there's a lot of opportunity for interaction. So I'm really hoping that you guys are able to give me some comments and things in the live chat that we can work with. But without further ado, let's get into it. Yesterday, Phil told you guys all about how to answer when you have to talk about if you work or when you're a student. Again, this is the first frame. This is the first set of questions, which is generally 3 to 4 questions. And these are meant to be really fast and quick. Everyone should be able to answer these questions if they've studied English. And so the examiner doesn't want to spend too much time here. The examiner wants to see how good your English is wants to see how good your English is with the more difficult, more challenging topics. So your job is to answer the questions, like Phil said yesterday, as concisely as you can, but still answer them fully. Okay, so today we are going to talk about your hometown or your home. This is really tricky. A lot of students make mistakes here where they are answering the wrong questions. We'll get to that. Then we'll get to some useful vocabulary. And this part is where I'm really hoping you guys are going to be able to interact with me through the chat. By the way, if you guys ever have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. Phil's there, and so am I. Okay. Dedox, thanks for that comment about only hearing it in one side of the headset. This might be because my microphone is... it's not stereo, it's only one side, so I do apologize for that. We are in the process of fixing that. I apologize for my crappy equipment. It will get better after tomorrow. Anyway, so the vocabulary, it's really important that you guys interact there. After that, we'll do a little bit of the grammar, and finally, actually, instead of high-level sentence frames, I will be giving you high-level answers if you ask me questions. If there are no questions that you guys ask, then there's no high-level answers. Okay. Yes. All right. So, let's see why things are going crazy. Okay. So, do you work or do you study is not right. It is, let's talk about your hometown. Got it. So, let's talk about your hometown. What does the examiner want to know? This is what I said before, where they just want you to answer their questions correctly, but also concisely. They will ask you a follow-up question if you didn't say enough, So don't worry too much. Just make sure you're answering the correct question. Now, why do you need to listen carefully? This is because there are grammar cues and vocab cues that you really need to listen to make sure you're answering the right question. I can't tell you how many times a student did answer the wrong question. They completely misheard the question, and so they answered it completely wrong. Now, you can still get a high score if you answer the wrong question. This is not a listening test. This is a speaking test. However, it really doesn't make you look good if it doesn't look like you have the vocabulary to answer these simple questions. So we will be going over today, and yes, you guys might have noticed that I am a thief. Just like me and Phil tell you guys to be, steal everything, I stole this from Phil and then modified it. He's really good at making these things. So, anyway, you guys need to listen carefully to the grammar cues in the questions so that you know what grammar to use when you answer the question to get full marks. Now, unfortunately, this is often a little bit difficult because a lot of times the grammar cues they're functional language, and that means that they're unstressed. For example, the examiner may say, where have you been living? The have is really short and easy to miss. What does your apartment look like? What's your apartment like? Both of these questions are different questions, but it's really easy to miss because does and is are so close to sounding the same when you have a when a native speaker is speaking at a natural speed. All right. Should you memorize your answers? We're repeating this from last time just because it's so important. You should not memorize your answers. If you memorize an answer, the examiner will disregard. He will not use that answer to grade your score. So if you memorized all of your answers, you would do terribly in part 3, probably. But also, none of that will count. So you'll get a really low score if you memorize your answers. Now, you can memorize sentence frames. These sentences are high-level sentences that you can memorize and adapt to different situations. But you should not memorize answers because you found the questions online or something like that. That does not work, especially if you mishear the question, as we'll talk about in a moment. What's wrong with my computer? Okay. So, we have a number of questions here. I'm not going to give you the answers to them, but these are similar to the types of questions that you guys will get on this part of the test. And I have Group A and Group B. What I want you guys to do is coordinate the questions based on what group they should go to. So, do you live in a house and apartment? Let's say that's in Group A. Is your neighborhood a good place to live? Is that similar to this question? Should it go in Group A, or is it separate? Should it go to Group B? I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. Let's say that the first question is Group A, and the second question is Group B. And why don't you guys let me know in chat, question 1 should go in A, 2 should go in B, where should 3 go, where should 4, where should 5, 6, 7, 8? Where should they go, Group A or Group B? Again, I'll give you guys about 1 to 2 minutes. There is a bit of a delay. Let me know in the chat how you would organize them. I should get some elevator music. Okay, after about 2 minutes have passed, we will keep moving. So Phil, if you wouldn't mind, after about 1 minute, start putting your own answers in the chat if no one else has. Thank you, D-Box. You're awesome. Super student. Anyone else going to be brave like D-Box? And D-Box, feel free to keep going. We'll go over everything together. Yes, Mohammed, great. 1 is A. 2 is B. Where is 3? Where is 4? Where is 5? We've got a little bit of a disagreement between D-Box and Mohammed. We'll find out who's right as soon as you guys get to 8. Oh, it looks like D-Box and Mohammed are tied. And let me make sure I didn't miscount these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, there are 8. So once you guys tell me okay, and Mohammed has number 8. All right. So let's go over these very quickly. Do you live in a house or an apartment? That is A. This is talking about your house or apartment. Is your neighborhood a good place to live? This is B. It's talking about your neighborhood, which is different from your house or apartment. And we will see the same pattern for the rest of it as well. You guys, the examiner is really nice to you. At the beginning of a frame, when they have a new set of questions, they're always going to start off not with a question, but with a little sentence that tells you the topic. Whenever you don't understand one of the questions in the frame, you guys should, whenever you don't understand a sentence in the frame, you guys should always think back to the topic, because it's always going to relate to that topic. So if you hear something and it sounds completely different from the topic, you've probably heard it wrong, and you can ask the examiner to say the question again. All right, so do you live in a house or apartment? That's group A. Houses or apartments. Is your neighborhood a good place to live? That is B. What does your house or flat look like? Group A. Do you like your neighborhood? Group B. What is your favorite room in your house? Group A. Would you like would? Oh no, spelling. Okay. What would your dream house be? Group A. What changes would you make to your neighborhood? Group B. Now, apologies for the spelling mistake. I fix it in a later slide, not this one. One thing to remember, answering the questions the wrong way is one way the examiner can tell that you memorized an answer. So this is something that gives a lot of people away. A lot of people try to find the questions to the answers before the test. And they go online and they find websites that have lists of real exam questions. And then they memorize the answers to those questions. There are multiple sets of questions that different examiners have at different times. And so a lot of times a candidate will go into an exam and then they will say the answer that they memorized and it will not connect to the question. They weren't really listening to the question because they were trying to remember what they memorized. Don't be that person. Listen carefully and answer it as you would. That's the best advice I can give you guys. All right, so moving on. Talking about your home or apartment, like I said, these ones are all about your house or apartment. And these are the cues you guys need to be listening for. Do you live in a house or an apartment? The grammar there is present simple. So don't talk about your neighborhood. Don't talk about your past house or where your hometown was. This isn't about your hometown. This is about where you are living right now. So do you live in a house or apartment? Right now I live in a house. It's out in the countryside, out in Shindian. Right now I'm living in an apartment. We just moved there. I am living in a house. It's the same house where I had grown up. So these are some possible answers to these questions using this grammar. Again, do you live means right now. Please remember that. All right. What does your house or flat look like? Again, present simple, and there's a couple different ways that you can answer this, but it all has to do with the appearance. You can talk about the outside of the house. Oh, I live in a pretty ugly apartment building. It's gray and there's 5 floors and a very little door. I have to duck under it. What does your house or flat look like? Oh, I live in a beautiful house. There's a garden in the front yard with lots of big trees. Again, this is all about the appearance, and you need to understand look like is talking about the appearance. If you hear, what does your house like? You will not hear that question. What is your house like? Then it's more about the character of the building. Another thing is, what does your house or flat look like? You can also describe the layout. So that means like how many rooms there are, where they are. I live in an old house. Awesome, D-Box. You're lucky, you've probably got a good price on that. Yes. So I live in an old house is a great way to start it. D-Box, could you give some more details? Maybe describe how many rooms there are or what it looks like from the outside? That would be great. Super student D-Box. And this goes for everyone. Mohammed, if they're there, you can do it too. Go ahead, tell me about your house. Use some of the vocabulary that I used if you want. And then while you guys are typing that, Phil, of course, will help you in the chat. But what is your favorite room of your house? Choose one room. Your favorite room means the room you like the best. Just choose one room and describe it. Most people describe their bedroom. But again, it's important to add those details describing what the room is like and why it's your favorite. Oh, my favorite room is the living room because it's got a big, comfortable sofa, which I bought, and so I really like it. Or my favorite room is my bedroom because it has a lock on the door, so I can close the door and lock it, and no one can come in. Okay. Next, what would your dream house be? This is, again, really important that you can listen to and hear the grammar when a native speaker says it. Because this is using a new type of grammar. This is the second conditional. This is not talking about the house that you live in now. This is not talking about the house you will definitely live in the future. This is talking about if you could live in any house, what would that house be? So my dream house would be a huge mansion in the countryside with 2 swimming pools. Okay, so Mohammed just gave an answer. Thank you, super student. Well, I have 3 bedrooms in my home. However, I like my bedroom. So, with that answer, are you answering the first question? What does your house look like? Or are you answering your second question? What is your favorite room in your house? You shouldn't try to put them together. You should wait for the examiner to ask you the question. Otherwise, the way that it connects is a little bit weird. So, if you said, what does your house look like? Oh, my house has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, and a dining room, but no kitchen. That is a great answer for what does your flat look like, or what does your house look like. What is your favorite room in your house? My house has 3 bedrooms, and my bedroom is my favorite. That is a little bit strange because you're adding extra information that is not directly connected to the question. So, what is your favorite room in your house? Oh, definitely my bedroom. And then, why? Oh, because it's someplace I can relax, or because I decorated it, and so it feels like my room. Okay. What would your dream house be? I would say, yeah, for the third question. So again, make sure you don't add extra information that isn't connected to the answer. Okay, but thank you so much for being brave, Mohammed. That was awesome. By the way, I see some more people are joining the live stream, which is fantastic. You guys can also be asking questions. This is a live dynamic thing. There is a little bit of a delay, but I will get to your comments, and Phil will get to your comments faster because he's at the same time as you. Okay, so what would your dream house be? If you guys want to try to answer that question, I know it's a bit tricky, but I can give you some feedback if you do. That is this question. What would your dream house be? My dream house would be a huge mansion. My dream house would be a 2-floor apartment in the Shangri-La. Or my dream house would be right next to Taipei 101 so I could see the fireworks on New Year's. I know that this is a little bit of a tricky question. If you're shy, that's okay. I am judging you. But feel free to drop those answers in the chat and we will get to them as we do. But we're going to keep moving on until you guys have your own answers. Okay. Oh, by the way, for Shivan, your dream house is the house that you wish you could have. Ooh, Shivan, that is a good answer. My dream house would be a farmhouse in a remote area. Remote area is a nice high-level collocation. Really good job there. And he used the correct grammar. Would be a farmhouse in a remote area. And then the examiner would probably say, oh, why? Well, they would just say, why? And then you can answer why you would prefer a remote area. Really good answer. Yes. I'm glad that it's helpful, Divax. Tell your friends. I want to help as many people as possible. Okay. So, do you think you will move in the future? This is, again, another grammar, will. So when you answer the question, you probably should use will or some other word that is connected to probability. So do you think you will move in the future? Oh, definitely. I'm taking the IELTS exam so I can move to the UK. So I think I will move to the UK in the next 2 years. Oh, do you think you will move in the future? Maybe. I'm not taking the IELTS exam to go abroad. I'm just taking it for work here. If I could move to the future, if I could move in the future, I would. But I don't think I will anytime soon. Okay. So I will probably move in the future. I will definitely move in the future. I will not move. Okay. So let's keep going to talk about your neighborhood. These were the questions from before. Do you live in a house or in a... nope. I'm sorry, guys. My computer is a mess. It's scatterbrained. Okay, so talking about your neighborhood. Is your neighborhood a good place to live? Again, you've got to listen very carefully to the is so that you know it's present tense. Don't talk about your hometown. Talk about where you're living now. By the way, your neighborhood... This is the area. This is not your house. This is not your neighbors. It is the area that your house is in. So, is your neighborhood a good place to live? Yeah, it's a great place to live. It's very convenient. It's got a lot of parks. It's very pretty. Oh no, is your neighborhood a good place to live? It's a terrible place to live. There's a university nearby, so there's always students partying and drinking. And I can't go to sleep because of the loud music. I hate my neighborhood. So you guys have to listen very carefully for is to know what time frame they're looking for, and then also neighborhood. Neighborhood. That's how fast they will say it. Is your neighborhood a good place to live? Do you like your neighborhood? Yeah, I love it. You may notice that these two questions, even though they have different grammar, is your neighborhood a good place to live? Do you like your neighborhood? They have the same kind of answer. So this may happen a lot on the IELTS exam, where you have different ways, different types of questions with the same kinds of answers. This is why it's important for you to study a lot of different types of questions for each topic, because you may have any of them and they could be very similar or they could be very different. But you need to be able to listen to the sentence, to listen to the question and tell what kind of answer you need. This one is a little bit more flexible, but we'll get to that in a moment. So finally, what changes would you make to your neighborhood? This is asking, so this is separate from do you like your neighborhood? You can like your neighborhood and still want changes. Oh, I love my neighborhood. There's lots of parks. It's very convenient. There's many bus stops and a subway system. Oh, that's great. What changes would you make to your neighborhood? If I could change anything, I would probably add a swimming pool or a sports center right near my house. It's okay to like a neighborhood and still want changes. You don't need to have a negative answer. That being said, what changes would you like to make to your neighborhood? Another possible answer is you could give the negative answer. What I mean by that is, what changes would you make to your neighborhood? Oh, I think my neighborhood is absolutely perfect. I would make no changes to my neighborhood. This is an okay answer, but you need to be careful because the examiner will then probably say, why? And then you need to answer that question. So, do you guys have any questions or answers that you guys want to try here? Feel free to leave them in chat and we will get to them when I see them, or Phil will answer them right away. By the way, can you think of any ways to change or add to these questions? Again, please in chat, leave your answers. Just to give you one example of what I want you guys to try to do. This first one, is your neighborhood a good place to live if you have a family? Is your neighborhood a good place to live as a college student? So sometimes they will modify questions. So can you guys modify any of these? Please leave that in the comment and I will wait about 1 to 2 minutes for your answers. So can you change any questions or can you think of any more questions? By the way, Phil had a great answer to a question there. But again, if you guys would please in the chat try to change some of these questions or add more questions about neighborhoods. What's something that you would probably ask or be asked? Do you like your neighbors? Great one, Phil. Do you like your neighbors? No, I hate them. Do you like your neighbors? I don't really have an opinion. I don't know them. I never see them. Do you like your neighbors? Oh, yes. They give me free cookies all the time. So, could you guys please add questions or change the questions? Phil's doing a great job so far. Oh, so mean, Phil. What did my face ever do to you? Honestly, I would probably shave. I told Phil that I would have a webcam to enhance this live stream. And I told him, I forgot to get one today, I'll get one tomorrow. The real reason I didn't get a webcam yet is because I'm very lazy and I don't want to shave my beard. Okay. So we'll start with Devox. Your neighbors are helping. So we would want to change that into a question. Are your neighbors helpful? And remember, a native speaker would say it very quickly. Are your neighbors helpful? Really good question. Are your neighbors helpful? They're not terribly helpful. I guess they help me sometimes. Sometimes they will loan me a hammer or a ladder so I can fix my house. Or sometimes I go over and ask them to watch my dog. That's very helpful. And then for Mohammed, Yeah, it is a terrific place to live with my family, as we can get everything near my home. However, it is very helpful for my parents. All right, Mohammed, thank you for being so brave and putting this in chat. There's two things that I want to comment on. First of all, however. We use however when we said something positive and then we want to say something negative. Or we said something negative and now we want to say something positive. Teacher Michael is a great teacher. He makes it very easy to understand things. However, he has an ugly face and soon he will get a webcam. So I'll have to see that face. Ah, so sad. So, however should be only used when you're having the opposite. You had positive, however positive. So we can't use however in the sentence this way. But I really like that you're trying to use however. Many students struggle with this word. Second, yeah, it's a terrific place to live with my family. Okay. This is thank you so much for giving your answer, Mohammed. This is another really tricky part of the IELTS exam, where some questions are talking about you specifically, and some questions want things in general. So, do you like your neighborhood? This is your answer would be great for do you like your neighborhood. Is your neighborhood a good place to live? Yes, you can have the same answer. But you could also answer it, so is your neighborhood a good place for families? Is your neighborhood a good place to live if you have a family? These answers, to get a really high level score, you need to show the examiner that you can understand the difference, the nuance. So, is your neighborhood a good place to live if you have a family? Is your neighborhood a good place to live for families? Yes, it's a great place to live if you have a family. Yes, it's great for families because there are many parks that people can take their children to, and the schools are great. My answer here is a lot more general than your answer. Your answer was very specific about your situation. You were talking about your family. My answer was about families in general. So this is something to look out for. Is your neighborhood a good place to live for families or for students or as a student? You can answer about your individual situation, but if you want a really high score, you would show the examiner, I know the deep part of this question. So let me answer it with more general things. And if I'm speaking a little bit too fast, Phil just had a great change of that answer that made it just a little bit better. Yes, Devox, grammar and vocabulary. We are going to be telling you exactly what you can do to help you out with that. But one thing that I want to say now, and I will say again and again and again, read more for fun. Don't read IELTS stuff. Read stuff that is fun. We have a video that explains exactly why you need to read for fun to improve your vocabulary and your grammar, and I'll leave it to Phil to try to find that video. We may also leave it in the comment of this later if we can't find it right away. We weren't great at titling our videos. Okay, so thank you again, Mohammed and Debucks, for giving your answers. And I believe we had Sivam as well. Great. Let's keep going. So, common mistakes. Answering the wrong question. Like we said before, if you memorize your answer, you will probably not really listen to what the examiner is saying, and then give the wrong answer, and terrible, everything. Another thing is you need to listen carefully to the grammar markers. I highlighted them for you. That might be something you want to do if you come up with a list of questions that you think you will hear on the IELTS exam, and then highlight the grammar markers or the vocab markers so you know exactly what you need to listen for. Again, I know that it's hard to hear these things because we don't stress them if they're function words. So that means that they're unstressed and really soft and hard to hear, but you need to be able to start hearing them so that you can answer it well. Answering with the wrong grammar is another one. which is another reason why you need to listen for the grammar in the question, because a lot of the time you can just use the same grammar. If they use present simple in the question, you can probably use present simple in the answer. If they use second conditional in the question, you can probably use second conditional in your answer. Same with past tense. So if you are able to hear the grammar, you can usually use the right one. Sometimes you make grammar mistakes because they're just errors that you've learned. We call these fossilized errors in English teaching. But, you know, we can fix those too. We'll tell you exactly what to do. Finally is making common grammar or vocab mistakes. We are going to go over a few of those right now. But before we move on, can you think of any more common errors that students make? I've hit most of them, but if you guys can think of any for the IELTS exam speaking in general, or for talking about neighborhoods or homes, go ahead, let me know. And by the way, Phil, the video I was talking about was the one that talks about reading for fun, I-1, and then also specifically to help them with not being able to hear those function words, the 6 steps for using Netflix and watching TV shows to improve their listening. Those might have been the ones you shared. Sorry, I didn't check your links. Yep, anything we can do to help. By the way, welcome new people, but let's keep on going. So we have some common mistakes that I hear again and again right here. I live in a 5-floor apartment. I live nearby the hospital. I live in a 2-floor building. It is my favorite room because it relaxes me. My neighbor is very convenient because there are many convenience stores. These are lower level 4 to 5 mistakes, but let's see if you guys can fix them. Again, I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes just so that the stream can catch up to try to fix these. Try to fix these and write the correct answers in the chat. Bonus points if you get it right. And thank you, Mohammed, for answering for the previous slide. They usually give redundant answers. Yes, that is something that I hear again and again. We will show you a redundant answer as we go through these. So, can you fix these questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5. Please put your answers in the chat. Come on, my brave super students, you can fix these. I believe in you. You can do it. Thank you, Phil. And Mohammed, good try. I live in an apartment which has 5 floors of building. Really close, but not quite. You can try again if you want, or you can try to fix one of the others. By the way, Phil, when I see you answer 3 of them, I will start moving on. I'll take that as a cue to keep going. Because of shy students. Alright, remember guys, try to put some answers to fix these in the chat. Don't be shy, everyone makes mistakes. Do you know who improves faster? A student who always has perfect grammar but doesn't speak very often? Or a student who speaks wrong but often? Which one goes faster? Which one grows faster? It is the second student. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's one of the reasons why children learn languages faster than adults, is because they are not afraid to fail. They are not afraid to make mistakes. If you are not afraid to make mistakes, you will grow so fast with language learning. Mohammed, thank you. You are my favorite student right now, super student, because you are putting some answers in here. This is great. There is a little fix that you need to do with your second answer though. There's a better verb to use. Or you could just add the article as Phil did. Let's keep going though. And if you guys can think of any more errors, feel free to say them as well. But let's look at some of the ones that I have up here. So, I live in a 10-story building on the 5th floor. This is really confusing to a lot of students. And Mohammed, your third answer was perfect. I live on the 2nd floor in my apartment, probably of my apartment building, of my building. Yes. But a lot of students have trouble because they always put this one and this one together into one super mistake. So a 10-floor building or a 10-story building, story is a little bit better here just to make it less confusing. This means how high is the building? The building has 10 floors. So you can say a 10-story building or a 7-story building on the 5th floor. You're always going to say which floor you live on here. A lot of students, when they make the mistake, I live in a 5-floor apartment, that sounds like, when you say I live in a 5-floor apartment, that sounds like you're really, really rich. It sounds like you're so wealthy, you have so much money that you live on 5 floors. Are you that rich? Maybe you are. If you are, you should let me and Phil know so we can teach you English for very expensive rates. But the best way to fix it is to say, use this sentence frame. This is what we're talking about when we have a sentence frame. It is a high-level sentence that you can memorize, and you can remember the structure and practice the structure again and again so that you say it correctly. I live on the 5th floor. I live in a 10-story building on the 5th floor. Okay. Next up, I live in an apartment on the 5th floor. Again, in an apartment on the 5th floor. You guys probably make the mistakes with these two words because you don't hear them. A native speaker would say, I live in an apartment on the 5th floor. I live in an apartment on the 5th floor. That's so fast, right? It's so hard to hear in and on. But you can do it. Don't give up hope. Okay. Next up, I live near the hospital. Again, the hospital. I live near the hospital. This is perfectly fine. There is a hospital nearby. There is a hospital nearby. This is saying what's near your house. This is describing the area. A lot of the time, especially when you're talking about your neighborhood, you're going to want to describe the area more than your house. So if I say, let's talk about your neighborhood, what do you like about your neighborhood? Oh, I like that there is a hospital nearby. That is good. That is better than, oh, what do you like about your neighborhood? Oh, I live near a hospital. I live near the hospital. That doesn't answer the spirit of the question. That shows that you don't really understand the difference between describing your house and describing the area around your house. So if you're describing your neighborhood, you should probably use there is and there are. There is your friend. Okay. I live in a 2-story building. Again, a building with 2 floors. A 2-story building is higher level vocabulary. And I honestly recommend that you guys learn this word, a 2-story building, just so that you don't get confused with floor. I think the reason why students have trouble with these 2 ideas is because you can use I live in a 10-floor building or a building with 10 floors on the 5th floor. Floor and floor, it gets confusing. If you use story to talk about how tall it is and floor to talk about where you live, that may help you out. So I live in a 2-story building. Just be careful if you're going to say how big the building is this way. You need I live in a 2-story building. I live in a 2-story building. Copying me, listen and say with me will help you a lot. Okay. But we need to keep moving. So it is my favorite room because it is somewhere that I can relax. This is really tricky because this is so much easier to learn even though it's wrong. It is my favorite room because it relaxes me. Your room relaxes you. That's really weird. I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but it's not quite right. It is my favorite room because it is somewhere that I can relax. This is a lot better, and learning this sentence frame is great. It is my favorite room because it is somewhere that I can relax. It is my least favorite room because it is somewhere I always have to work. Alright, this is what I mean by a sentence frame, a sentence you can modify. It is my least favorite room because it is somewhere that I always have to work. This is a much higher level sentence to be using, higher level grammar, and higher level vocabulary. Okay. My neighborhood is a super convenient place to live because there are convenience stores everywhere. Super convenient is a nice collocation, shows higher level vocabulary. You're describing your neighborhood, but remember, a place. You have a noun, so you gotta have that article. Because there are convenience stores everywhere. Why am I using there are? Because I'm describing an area. Basically, anytime you say neighborhood, you can replace it with my area. I hope that this helps you a lot. Okay. Let's keep going, my super students. Again, if I'm going too fast or if you don't understand something, this is live! So you can ask me anything, anytime. Okay, so this is specifically to answer Deebuck's question earlier where he said he really hates the grammar and vocab. So this is to specifically help you with your grammar if you're by yourself. Many students have grammar problems, not because they don't understand grammar. If you don't understand grammar, it's easy. Get a grammar book. Get a teacher nearby who can help you with your grammar. But most students don't have that problem. A lot of you guys probably learned grammar for English in high school or middle school. And so you actually know a lot of the grammar, you know the rules. You learned the rules. Your problems are usually because you make mistakes when you're speaking. You don't realize that you are making these mistakes. You think that you're speaking perfectly fine, or you're not really focusing on those mistakes. And so this is how you fix that problem. You need to record yourself answering the questions. We had some questions in this live stream. You guys can go back and answer them yourself. Record yourself. You guys all have phones. Use your phone or your microphone with your computer. record yourself answering the questions. Focus on fluency. Just answer them naturally. Step 2, listen back and correct any mistakes that you made. This is when you start to notice the mistakes you're making. Number 3 is record the same questions, the same answers, but this time you focus on accuracy. You're trying not to make the same mistakes. Finally, you write everything down and send it to us. Me and Phil will live stream us correcting it for you and telling you, number 1, the grammar that you probably knew and missed. Number 2, grammar that you didn't know that you needed to learn so that you guys can go and study. Maybe we will do a live stream teaching it. And finally, number 3, we will show you how a native speaker would be saying it. So if you do these 4 steps and you send us either the written everything or the recording, me and Phil will be able to help you out with that. So if you're a bit lazy and you don't want to do these 4 steps, which I recommend you do all 4, is you record yourself and just send it to us at corrections@theieltsgrind.com. Phil's going to put that in the chat and also in the comments, and then you'll be able to just send it to us. Now, unfortunately, we are running out of time, so this next part will be super fast. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. So, useful vocabulary. So, the area around your house, your area. Neighbor versus neighborhood. Neighbor is the person. Neighborhood is the area. It's a super convenient place to live. This is a high-level way to say that your neighborhood is convenient. It's easy to get around. This is a specific detail talking about why your area is convenient. It's super easy to get around. There's lots of buses. There's U-bike stations. The streets are very safe for pedestrians. I've lived there my whole life. This is describing the time period. So this is answering the question about where you live. So I live in the same house that I have lived my whole life. This is using present perfect to answer some of those questions we saw earlier. Okay. By the way, don't forget you can also send us your essays. Tomorrow I will be going over a task 1 essay and a task 2 essay. So remember to come back tomorrow at 7 for that. And tomorrow's essay is going to be one submitted to us by one of you guys. So don't forget, you guys can get free corrections if you are brave and send us your essays. Let's look at some more. Facilities and amenities. These are words that are describing a group of things. And many students make the mistake where they learn this word and then they try to use it because they know it's high level. But it's actually dangerous to use because we don't usually use this when we're describing our homes or the areas around our homes. You could say, yeah, my home is great because the building has a lot of amenities. Sorry, 7 p.m. Tomorrow means basically in 23 hours. So right now it is almost 8 o'clock here in Taiwan. We started at 7. So in 23 hours from now, we will have our next live stream, PM. If Phil would please say the time. Yes. That is great. Thanks, Phil. Okay. So facilities and amenities. There are a lot of great facilities around my apartment. There are a lot of great facilities in my apartment. That's great, but it's better if you can say what they are. So there are a lot of great facilities in my apartment, like a swimming pool, a gym, and a karaoke bar. Saying what they are will give you stronger vocabulary than just using this word. Okay, so my area is a great place to raise kids. This is a great answer, and this is using a synonym for your neighborhood. Instead of saying my neighborhood, my neighborhood, my neighborhood, you can say my area is a great place to raise kids. For neighbor versus neighborhood, I really don't see my neighbors very often, only in passing really. Again, high level way to talk about your neighbors. And this is probably true for most people. Okay. I didn't get to choose which subjects I wanted to study. Sorry, this was because I stole from Phil. Oh no, just ignore these. If you guys want to see what these were related to, you can look at yesterday's live stream. Okay. So, it's so terrible. Unfortunately, I messed up everything when I stole this from Phil. So, final thing, unfortunately we do have to end it now. But thank you guys so much for coming. If you guys have any questions that you guys want me to answer about neighborhoods or neighbors or anything, please ask now. I'm just going to leave it running for about 1 to 2 minutes so that you guys can ask me things about the IELTS exam in general or specifically about speaking, or if you want to hear some answers. If you guys have any specific IELTS questions about home or neighborhood, feel free to ask me now and I can give you a high-level answer. Or if you have an answer and you want us to make it sound higher level with higher level vocabulary and grammar, also just leave that in chat. So I'm just going to leave it for about a minute. If you leave, thank you so much for coming. You guys were awesome, very active today, especially Mohammed and D-Bucks. And also, where was it? I'm sorry, I'm very bad with names. Shivan. So, these are some great questions. Keep asking them. I'm going to answer them one by one as I get them. So D-Buck says writing is more difficult. Luckily, we will have a writing live stream tomorrow. So come here at 7 p.m. Taipei time, which I think is GMT. Is that right, Phil? If you want us to work on your essay, D-Buck, send it to us, and we will fix it for you live as well. For Mohammed, can you use yeah while speaking? That's a really good question. So in English, native speakers will add filler language. And if you can use it correctly, it will help you out with fluency, because this is something that native speakers do. Like we add like and yeah when we're thinking or between thoughts. Doing that naturally will help you with your score. It shows you that you're closer to an 8 than anything else if you are using it like a native speaker. For D-Bucks, how to practice speaking. So there's 2 things. If you follow the 4 steps that I recommended, where you record yourself, write down your mistakes, fix them, record yourself again, and then send this to us, it will definitely help your grammar. Every time I have students do it, they improve. Unfortunately, it does take some time, and so a lot of students don't want to do it because it takes so much time, but it does help. Also, we have a Discord channel, so if you guys want to jump onto that, again, it is in the comments of this live stream. There is a Discord channel. This is weird, watching me watch myself. But if you guys go to the Discord channel, accept the invite, and I actually have it on my computer. You guys can join the Discord channel with your email and password to claim your account, but you don't need to claim your account. You can come in anonymously, okay? And then you'll be able to join our general chat, ask questions, and then also speaking room practice, so you can find other people to practice with. Okay. Next up. So yes, these are continuing at 7 p.m. Taipei time. The schedule may change in the near future. But if you guys could let us know what time of the day you guys prefer, that would help us out a lot with choosing what times to be using. Whether or not you prefer weekdays or weekends, we can change our schedule to accommodate that. Thank you, Phil, for adding that information about the time zones. Thank you, Makan, for attending. Thanks for joining. And thanks for entering the chat. Feel free to add more in the future. Task 2 for Mohammed Siraj. We are going to be looking at a Task 2 tomorrow. Don't forget, you can also submit your own essays. We will correct them. We will help you. Just add them to the IELTS Grind. They can even be older essays that you've done before, because we haven't seen them before. So don't be afraid. Just please, when you submit your essay, please type it up and also include the prompt, so we know exactly what question you're answering. We need the prompt in order to give you the task achievement score that you need. And a weekend class. Okay, we will look into that. If you could also tell us what times work best for you, that would be great. You know what? We will probably put out a community post with a survey. So Phil, if you wouldn't mind jumping on that, sending out a survey just saying what time and days of the week you guys prefer. Fill out that survey. You guys will be able to find it in our community tab. So if you guys again go to YouTube and then you click on our channel, and of course you should subscribe, but there is a community tab which is right over here where you can look at our polls, and Phil is going to add a new poll which is asking what days and what times work best for you. Alright guys, unfortunately I have to cut it off right now. Thank you for all of these questions. You guys are great, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow.